Hello, my name is Maddie Boardman and I'm a solution-focused hypnotherapist based at Old Town Hypnotherapy in Swindon. And today I'm going to be speaking about intrusive thoughts, what they are, what they mean, how they manifest and what we can actually do about them. Many clients that we see at Old Town Hypnotherapy report that they suffer from intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts are characterised by unwanted thoughts that pop into our minds without any warning or invitation and are usually distressing in nature. They can often be violent or disturbing and be centred around behaviours that the sufferer finds completely unacceptable or abhorrent. They can be a standalone issue, or they can be part of a wider symptomology of other mental health disorders, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, or eating disorders. On face value, an intrusive thought is actually completely normal. Anyone can experience an intrusive thought. In fact, most of us do experience them at some point in our lives. However, mentally healthy people can dismiss the thought as irrelevant and just move on. The intrusive thought leaves little or no impression and life just continues. When we cope with intrusive thoughts in this way, we can assume that we are functioning from our prefrontal cortex, our logical, analytical part of our mind, and we are coping well with life in general. However, if for any reason you're finding life a bit of a challenge, you may be struggling to stay in your prefrontal logical mind. And what happens is when our thoughts turn negative, we start to slip back to the primitive part of our brain. Our negative thought patterns encourage us to think from the primitive bit of our brain that is emotional and not logical or analytical in any way. Now, our primitive mind is vital, it's there for our survival, and as such it is intrinsically negative. It has to be. It can't say, that saber-toothed tiger looks friendly. The message has to be a worst case scenario message to give us the best chance of survival. What we know about people suffering from any kind of negative stress, and we describe that in clinic as full bucket stuff, is that their primitive mind is actually hyper vigilant, on high alert and scanning for danger. And when we're in this part of our mind, if we experience an intrusive thought, the sufferer becomes worried or agitated about the significance of the thought. They perhaps worry that they are a terrible person for thinking this horrible thought, and they might feel ashamed or guilty for even thinking such a thing. They may worry that they might even act upon it, or they may think it's some kind of message or red flag from deep down in their subconscious, rather than what it actually is, just a thought, just a curiosity of the brain. The worry from this concern then kickstarts a negative, harmful cycle. The primitive part of our brain, there for our survival, is hypervigilant, and it latches on to what it sees as a threat and keeps reminding that person suffering with its obsessive nature of the thought or similar thoughts, and the thoughts then appear to be stuck in their mind. What can then happen is the person suffering can start to alter their lives, their behaviour in a negative way. Normal functioning becomes inhibited. For example, let's imagine that a person had an intrusive thought about crashing their car into a pedestrian. Now, a healthy person might think, oh, goodness, what a horrible thought. I could never do something like that. And then get on with their day. But somebody struggling with their mental health might think, goodness, I'm not safe to drive. I might do something awful. I don't think I can trust myself to drive anymore. They might start to take the bus instead. They might stop driving altogether, thus altering their behaviours and negatively impacting on their lives. Now, some people suffering this way try to pacify or temporarily appease that that cycle of negativity by completing sometimes quite complex rituals, again, negatively impacting their life. And this is described as obsessive compulsive disorder. So how do we treat someone who's suffering from intrusive thoughts? Well, to begin with, we start by giving a free initial consultation to explain how the brain works, a bit like how I have done here today. We explain exactly what's going on and why they're having these intrusive thoughts. We have to get them thinking from their prefrontal cortex, the intellectual part of their brain. And when their thoughts intellectual, when they're coming from the prefrontal cortex, they'll be able to rationalise and dismiss the thought as just a thought. We remind them that disturbing thoughts do not equate to desired actions. Just because we repeatedly have a thought does not mean that it's what we are hoping for, subconsciously or consciously. The thought is just a thought. And we cannot control events in our lives. We cannot control the thoughts that just pop into our mind, but we can learn to control our reaction to them. And if we delve deeper into the science, we can see that there's a brain chemical known as GABA, that's G-A-B-A, and it's responsible for inhibiting the overfiring, the overstimulation of neurons, and a lack of GABA is believed to be heavily involved in intrusive thinking. The level of GABA activity is correlated with feelings of relaxation and feelings of calm. And there are things we can do naturally to boost our GABA. Activities such as exercise, meditation, self-hypnosis, all of which fall under what we call in clinic the 3 Ps. Positive activity, positive interaction, and positive thinking. The 3 pillars of mental health. And we use the combination of solution-focused therapy and hypnotherapy to help our clients achieve small steps, small changes to help them to build up their 3 Ps and to reconnect with a calmer, happier version of themselves that are capable of rationalising and moving on from intrusive thoughts so that they don't linger and affect their lives. As always, we offer a free initial consultation at Old Town Hypnotherapy, so do get in touch if you would like some help. Thank you. Bye-bye.